Welcome back to the Forex Fortress, as I have a little bit of a later start today myself. Anyways, let's follow up on the good old analysis that we were looking at yesterday, starting off with Dixie as always, and once again doing its best to hold on to the support, of which I still would not look at this as overall broken. Still looking at this on a weekly closure below $92. I would call this broken to the downside, and we can start targeting moves all the way down below $90, perhaps even all the way to about 89.5 region before the next sort of major bounce. But as it is right now, still looking at that as a major pivot until told otherwise, of which we very likely do have a chance this week. As you can see, it's pretty damn close. Looking at the daily down here, you can see that things are really on the precipice of an actual breakdown. And if it does want to do it, it very likely does do it, you know, over this next month, I'd imagine. But with that in mind, looking at the short-term time frames right here, what do we do see? To get any sort of a short-term bias, we do see... I don't know, what do we see? Do we see anything of note right here? No, not really. In fact, more or less sideways is what I'm looking for, and with clear eyes on the weekly closure, which by the way is not going to be well, actually no, it is still Friday. Yes, I forgot that Thanksgiving is on Thursday, not Friday, of course. So yes, we still have to wait a couple days here for full on disclosure on that and clarity in the situation. So with that in mind, we'll go down the regular list over here, and of course, I should say the reason why this is relevant right now, especially with historical volatility percentile very low, is well, if it does want to break, it will absolutely have a massive shattering effect. But there's one big thing, there's one big saying that we say all the time, and that was never sell a dull market short. And in this case right here, this would be your dull market, so to speak. But with that in mind, let's go over and shoot down the list, starting with Aussie Dollar, my favorite little shitcoin U. And we did say yesterday, looking for another move up somewhere around about 74 cents. And I'd still stick with that. Actually, I'd still be looking for this one a little bit more upside on the daily. 4 hour looking the same to me as well. And what about the weekly? Yep, all looking good right here. I remember with my prior targets, actually just above 74 cent, in fact. As we did already hit the 73.5 cent target from yesterday. So yes, continuation essentially is what I'm looking for, and I imagine we're going to see a lot of the same things across the board. What about CAD dollar over here? What do we see? We do see 4 hours still, actually a little more sideways here, to be fair. I probably would be looking for a short-term move back up to about 77 cents, so I do remain with that target. What about on daily over here? More or less same thing on a daily, maybe a little bit higher. And then the weekly coming into early December, I'd actually be targeting somewhere around about 77 and 77.40-ish region, we'll call it. So short-term good, long-term good, and medium-term, probably going to be a little bit of an ebb and flow between there in the interim, but overall, looking for some more upside there. Swiss franc dollar, what do we see right here? Looking at 4 hour, what do we see? We do see, yesterday I was right on this one yesterday. Yeah, we did come down to 109.5 or 109.4. Well, actually, yeah, 109.41. Yeah, okay, sweet one. All right, but what now? What now, you might ask? Well, let's go over to the daily. I think I'm going to be wrong about my further downside targets on this one. Jesus Christ, man, that keeps on changing around. I guess that's what happens when I have like 4 different trading view windows open across all my different devices. Weekly still kind of in limbo here as well, but I would say that short term and medium term, I'd be looking for another move probably to the upside, somewhere around about 110.15, 110.20-ish region, and then I want to come back to it after that. I have no call on the weekly, however, as it is, and again, setting up for a big bad move right here, as you can see. Moving on to euro pound, we were bearish on this one yesterday after hitting our downside target. Would I still remain bearish on this one? Yes, I would. Yeah, I'd be looking for this one to come back down all the way to about 88.90-ish region, or a little bit below there, 88.850 actually. And then daily, what do we see? Yeah, still bearish on this. What about weekly? Still bearish on this. Yeah, I'm bearish on all time frames here. So at least that's the odd man out thus far. God damn it, euro dollar. Fucking it. Hit our target from at 119 from yesterday. Would I extend this target a little bit more? 4 hour. 4 hours fighting back a little bit there, but I don't have any calls to be made on that one. Daily, already hit that 119.1/3. Fair enough. I don't know. Is there anything new to talk about on this one? I'd really be waiting for the weekly on this one. You know, the short-term and medium-term targets were hit at 119 and then 119.30 respectively. The more long-term target now, I'd really want, or sorry, this is the 3-day. Let's go to the weekly. The weekly target, though, I would wait for clarity on this weekly closure anywhere above 119.25, and I'd actually be looking for a nice big old move to the upside. So it is very interesting to hear. It is very interesting to hear, because while we do see Dixie on its bottom side macro support support, looking like it potentially could break down. We do see pretty much all of the other pairs that do trade opposite of the dollar are looking for big bad breakouts, and you know, the euro dollar is no different. In fact, having a golden cross on the weekly right here, it's kind of hard not to be thinking 121.5 and then 1.25 over time. So you know, this actually would be the setup for a big bad breakdown in Dixie, which I really don't want to see myself as, you know, I'm an American. I live my life in dollars, but have to call a spade a spade. Short term, no calls here. You know, we've already hit the targets there. Weekly, I want to see this one close, but for right now, it is looking good, especially with momentum also just, you know, twisting back up, almost going to confirm across the upside, as you can see right there, and then weekly RSI getting, fuck it, it's probably going to break to the upside. Hitting bullish divergence here, right around the edge of the bullish control zone. Usually that's pretty damn good setup. Fucking goddamn it. All right, I'm going into euros, baby. I'm going into euros. Pound yen, it looks like it hit our 139.5 target from yesterday. Would I remain bullish in the short term once again? I'd be looking short term for it to actually swipe back up towards about 139.80 short term. But what about daily right here? Daily's kind of in limbo. I don't really have a strong opinion on this, so medium term, nothing to be said. Weekly, I do think gets a little bit more continuation up towards about 141-ish region, and then I want to come back to it after that. Again, long term, like macro, incredibly bearish, but short term, in medium term, looks like it does want to have a little more upside here. Pound dollar, what do we see? 133.5, and I believe that was our target from yesterday. Yes, indeed it was. Nice and hit. Now, what do we say on the low term timeframes? No call right here. I don't trust this. If I did have to call this right here, I would say up, but I don't feel strongly about that. Daily already hit our target, so I don't really, you know, would I be looking for a bit of a pullback here more than anything? Hard to say actually. And what about the weekly? Now, I'd actually extend this target up to about just below 135 actually. Yeah, right around 134.75. So a lot of bullishness today. God damn it, really don't like that. Need to balance it out with some bearish. Anyways, yen dollar, what do we see over here? 4 hour, what did we say yesterday? I think that we said down to about 95.40-ish region. We got that, or did we already see this yesterday? Either which way, we did have a target down around there, and it did get hit. What about on the daily over here? Ah, yes, that's right. I remember this one from yesterday. Okay, so I remember the 2 days before I was wrong on this one. Yes, as I was looking for it to head upwards rather than downwards. It did head to the downside. And then what did I say yesterday? I said yesterday sideways and down. And it looks like I'm going to be wrong on that one again. What should I be looking at here on the weekly? Weekly still more or less up as long as above the 10 simple. It is kind of difficult to get bearish on something like that. I've not had good reads on yen dollar this past week, that's for sure. Short term, do I think it's more likely to pop up than head back down? Yes, I do think it is. Probably short term target back up to about 96.05 region. Daily, I'd refrain from saying anything more on that. If I did have to call a daily target, it'd be 96.40-ish region. But as I said, I don't think I've had very good reads on this one. Nasdaq did hit our 12,150 target from yesterday. I'll be looking for a little bit of a short-term pullback, most likely here, maybe back down towards about 12,000 base. But I would be looking for a bounce off there. Going down to the very low-term timeframes, yes, I'd be looking for a pullback here. Like I said, 12,000 base, and then looking for a bounce from that level. Weekly looking like it's going to be shaping up for a nice weekly closure, but of course still got 2 days left in the trading week, except tomorrow is a bit of a holiday now, isn't it? But you know, shaping up to be a pretty damn good one for continuation to the prior all-time highs and likely beyond. But again, short term down, long term good. What else do we got? We got some gold action. I believe it hit our $1,800 target to the downside, now bouncing up as we said yesterday. Where would my bounce target be though? I didn't really give a bounce target. You know, I think it could work its way back up to like 1835, 1840-ish region, but I don't have strong ideas on that. I do think, however, that it will ultimately head further downside, actually. 1750 is where I'd be looking towards before the next like big bounce, so to speak. So right now I'm just looking for like a smallish bounce, you know, whether it gets to like 1835 or 1840. I don't have a strong ideas on that. Maybe even gets a little more than that to 1850. Who knows? But ultimately, I do think that this one does falter a little bit further south, and we'll play out like a bigger bounce somewhere around 1850-ish, or sorry, not 1850, 1750-ish region. And then Bitcoin. Let's go follow up on Bitcoin as well. So let's go to my regular charts over here. And what are you doing, you massive shitcoin, you? So here's what I can say about Bitcoin. And you know, I got a message this morning that made me realize that perhaps I didn't do the best job of explaining myself with Bitcoin, because I didn't necessarily give upside targets, and I really only spoke about downside this morning. This is, of course, only a possibility in the way that I look at things if Bitcoin closes this 3-day dildo below the topside trailing band. Currently speaking, the topside trailing band is actually 19,100. If that happens, and I'd actually really just extend that to like 19,000 is an easier number, and obviously this will naturally come down a bit if and when Bitcoin price action does come down alongside of it. So what I'm saying here is that I basically hold into the same things that I've been saying for the last couple of months. As long as Bitcoin's closing 3-day dildos above the topside trailing band, I am still, even though it seems a little bit weird, even though it doesn't seem right to myself, I'm still bullish and I still hold my very small long that I have left over from about 10,500. With that said, do I feel like it should be like that? No, I don't. But this is one of my rules here. And with that, we do have this 3-day closing tonight. So anywhere below $19,000, yes, I'd be more or less willing to call or very likely a high. If I was using this on lower term timeframes, I'd use a 4-hour right here, and I'd be using the prior base at about 18,800, this last breakout that we see alongside the 3618 Fibonacci extension right here, as a short-term pivot. So one of those two things, likely they come along the same side. The 3-day obviously matters more, being a higher term time frame, but the 4-hour probably tips it off a little bit sooner. So either a 4-hour total closure below 18,800, then I'd be targeting moves down towards about 18.2 short term, probably even extension towards about 17.8 or 17.9 more medium term. And then of course, if the 3-day closes below, as we saw over here, then I'd actually be looking for Bitcoin to mount a greater reversal, perhaps even all the way down to 16,500 bucks, which would be my first target for the 3-day. And we could talk about further targets after that. But as it is right now, is it in danger of closing below there? I mean, technically speaking, we're 300 bucks above right now. Now, to be fair, that is about a sneeze for Bitcoin at the current moment, as you probably know, seeing as Bitcoin is more or less, well, Bitcoin is more or less extremely floaty within these regions. I mean, it's certainly not unnatural to even see like a $100 range on a 30-minute. This is fucking crazy right now. Actually, in fact, the last 3 30-minute dildos had a range of about 150 bucks, or a little bit more than 100 bucks. So fair enough, it could certainly very easily happen, but for right now, obviously we've been above. I still stick with what I said formerly. Now, you haven't really heard me talk about upside targets, and the reason why I don't really have any upside targets here is mostly because if Bitcoin does close above the 3-day dildo right here, the 3-day Bollinger Band topside, where would my next target be? My next target is essentially just long. Essentially long. Could we use more extensions for this? We did already kind of hit the 4,236 yesterday. At least I'd consider this close enough. But technically speaking, if you want to go by the book, 19,650 would be the next short-term target to the upside. Do I think that things would stop there? I don't have a strong opinion on that. I'd want to see it in real time, so I'm not going to make any calls on like next upside targets until I see that next piece of price action information. We'll very likely see that, or obviously we're going to see this clarified tomorrow. It either closes above or below. That's one of two things can happen. It's very unlikely to close exactly on, and if it does close exactly on, then I'd probably be looking for some more upside anyways. And in fact, if it's very close, probably gonna gear towards the upside regardless. So I always err on the side of the former trend. In this case right here, the trend is very much your friend, going straight up from 10,000 bucks, and technically speaking, next short-term target would be 19,650, it looks like, and then after that, I imagine probably somewhere in like the low $20,000 region. So I think I'll leave it off right there. I'd like to wish you all once again, take care, and until next time.